This is a time I'll never forget, the time I had tutors. Despite graduating college at the top of my class, there was a time when my grades were hanging by a thread. A lot. Well, I once had a red mark in the report card, but more often than not, my grades clung by the edge, about to fall and turn red. I'm uncertain whether this still rings true, but the lowest score that one could attain from quizzes and tests was 65, the highest being 100. Back in kindergarten, my grades were 70 on average. Awfully terrible since you need a grade of 75 to pass tests. But since I grew up in an Asian household, I would be blessed with a quick succession of kisses from my father's belt, his own dirty slipper, or from a narrow red stick. Do you know why I got a red stick of all things? Why? So no one can tell that it has your blood on it. Good times. Regardless of the consequences I reaped from my happy-go-lucky behavior, I didn't really learn from it. And notwithstanding, I miraculously passed. My parents realized that hitting me every now and then wouldn't work, so I, along with my sister, met our first tutor at home. To conceal her identity, her name was Macy. She would be in charge of all of our subjects such as math, science, English, Filipino, AP, aka Social Studies, and MAPE. We would immerse ourselves in our books for 2 hours on weekdays and the entire morning on Saturdays. She was a kind and understanding girl, which is exactly why I so often ignored her. She knew nothing with the arts of thwacking my father had mastered, and she never got angry in any of our sessions either. So, could you blame a child like me? One Saturday, while we were reviewing her quizzes, she kept marking my answers wrong for 28 minutes straight. You simply wouldn't expect a young child to be composed after being told he or she was wrong for so long. So, being a young child at that time, frustration seared through me. Dan, you're also wrong here because when monkeys are hungry... It's so unfair. You're bad and you're mean. You're a monster. A monster! Dan, wait a minute! No! I abhorred being corrected multiple times back then, so while my sister was busy doodling, our tutor tried to persuade me so I could come to my senses. Dan, you said you wanted to eat ice cream, right? You can have some if you come. Monster! Shortly after, my parents came home, stunned with the situation as I hid behind them. Picture this. You came home from work, weary and mentally preparing yourself to clean the house to rest right after, only to see one of your children crying at the corner mumbling monster. Now that I'm older, I realize that she was most likely in college back then, working to fund her studies. Now that I'm roughly her age, I could feel the panic she was experiencing back then. A spoiled child sobbing while calling you a monster and worrying if the brat's parents will sue you for child abuse. So, if you are my tutor and you happen to watch this,
from the blackest part of my heart, I am sorry.
Anyway, my parents were sternly asking my tutor some questions, but quickly directed their growing temper towards me after they were informed of the actual situation. Don't worry about it, Macy. Have some fruit on your way out. See you tomorrow. We'll handle it from here. You think she's a monster, huh? You'll know what a real monster is once I'm through with you. The last thing I remember after she left was a stick blitzing towards my hand. There was also the time when I was in the 2nd grade. My parents decided to place us in a tutoring center. They had a tutor for each grade level, and I was the only one in mine. Slowly but surely, a handful of my classmates trickled in. 2 spawned in at first. They were cousins. One of them had such large round eyes comparable to a tarsier. I waved at her, excited to see someone I know at school here, but she simply stared at me. No, that would be an understatement. She froze. I brushed it off and asked her what lesson our tutor would teach, and she responded once more with silence. Oh, that's why. Sooner or later, the awkwardness and tension faded and we became good friends. The rest of my tutor mates were quite normal, so there isn't much I could say about them. As it is a tutoring center, the same ordeal happens every weekday. Go to school, go to the tutoring center, go home, and go sleep. As restrained kids, we weren't fond of it. Not one bit. So when it was Valentine's Day, we had conceived an idea most ingenious. We decided to compose a heartfelt letter and a few chocolate gifts to our tutor. Here you go, Miss Marie. We may be stubborn and selfish sometimes, but we really want to let you know that we really appreciate you for being our tutor. Aw, thank you, Theodosia. You know what? Because of her sweet and thoughtful gift, let's not have a quiz tonight. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Happy Valentine's Day.
Good job, T. Mission accomplished. Yeah, T. T's the best. Of course. Now pay up. The gift wasn't cheap, you know. Another time I remember was Halloween, when the place would be embellished with decorations and everyone would dress up as abominations. Or monsters. Amy? It's Halloween! You should dress up as a monster like the rest of us. I am, Miss Marie. Humans are the only monster that smile while they destroy. Oh, I want some snacks? I just remembered that moment because shortly after, all of us were grouped at the center of the room and faced candies coming from all directions. It's quite like getting stoned to death, but with candies and with less force. I got a handful of lollipops. This is what you get for being noisy, you brat. Huh! Ow! Oh, lollipops. There was also a time when we were planning for an upcoming celebration in my group, but we didn't know what to do. In that case, let's all bring food here. We'll end our session early so we have time to eat. Okay, what an idea. I reckon she used that as a pretense to get free food. Not that I wouldn't do the same if I were in her shoes. Anyway, we decided to bring chicken, some spaghetti, and pizza. My family didn't have much to spare that time, so I would simply contribute by bringing sodas. Oh, each of us should bring something different so it'll be fun. I'll bring chicken, I'll bring pizza, ooh, I'll bring sodas for me! Hey, I said it first. You just talked over me. Sorry, Dan. If you can't think of any right now, you can just tell us tomorrow. Mom, what do I do? They're going to get angry if I bring something they don't eat. Fortunately, my mom got my back. Want to guess what it was? Comment down to see if you got it right.
Who's that Pokemon?
Salted peanuts! And just like that, salted peanuts were my go-to dish whenever we had a potluck. Time for another potluck. What will you guys bring? Us? What about you? This is the 5th potluck and all you've done so far was instigate us to bring something delicious. Anyway, I'll bring peanuts! After a couple of potlucks, I discovered that they were getting tired of me bringing peanuts. After all, peanuts are quite cheap compared to pizza or chicken. But after hearing the chorus of complaints, I relented and told my mother that next time, I would bring 2 boxes of pizzas to make things fair. Anyway, I graduated from the tutoring center once I entered high school. Now the last memorable experience I had was a brief time I spent with a Chinese tutor. My school introduced Mandarin as early as kindergarten, and they wanted us to start learning it at a young age. Ironically, back in my elementary years, my grades in that subject were abysmal despite being half Chinese. I'm sorry, Mushu.
All right, that's it. Dishonor. Dishonor on your whole family. Make a note of this. Dishonor on you. Dishonor on your cow.
But I swear, I have redeemed my honor in high school. I simply found it odd in the beginning. Not because I needed a Chinese tutor, but because she was a teacher in my school. To make matters worse, she was my teacher's friend. It wasn't long before my teacher knew. 老师早安. Hey you, stop failing in my class. My friend is your tutor. Hiya. You are Chinese and you need tutor? Aside from the humiliation I would receive whenever we had class, the actual tutoring session was terrible. Back in the tutoring center, we would always end at 8 in the evening. But with her, it ends at 9. We studied at her own home too, so there were times when she left us her own devices. I'll go cook dinner. You go read Lesson 3, Dialogue 4, okay? Sure, 老师.
20 minutes later.
Okay, quiz time. 准备好了吗? But, I also disliked how often she kept telling me my pronunciation was wrong. She demonstrated the right pronunciation, but I failed time and time again to discern any distinction between our ways of articulation. Retrospectively speaking, I most likely messed up the chi and ji sounds.
When you pronounce ji, qi, xi, the tip of your tongue is behind the bottom of your T.
I think I still do, to tell you the truth. But I wished she would have just forced me to listen to Chinese shows to train my ears. Oh well, it is what it is. Still, I loathe spending so much time at her place, so much so that I was able to raise my grades high enough to convince my parents we didn't need her anymore. Thus, my freedom was granted. All in all, those are my experiences with tutors. At times engaging and fun, and at times dreadful. How about you? Comment down below so we can hear your story too. Like and subscribe if you find this enjoyable. Thanks for watching!